She was invited to speak, then silenced, mocked, and interrupted on live TV. But what they didn't expect was for Karoline Leavitt to fight back with just one sentence that left the arrogant host completely speechless. This wasn't just a clapback. It was a moment that stunned millions. And trust me, you're going to want to see it. The moment was electric. Viewers didn't just see a political interview, they witnessed a live television showdown. Karoline Leavitt, a rising conservative star, sat across from a host known for his confrontational style. The segment was supposed to last 5 minutes, but what happened instead set the internet ablaze. The host, smug and dismissive, barely let Karoline speak. From the start, his tone was mocking. He interrupted, rolled his eyes, and smirked as if he were trying to push her into a meltdown. But Karoline wasn't having it. She remained calm but with a fire in her eyes. She waited patiently, and the moment he cut her off for the 4th time in 2 minutes, she leaned forward and delivered a line that would go viral by midnight. "Excuse me, do you want an answer, or do you just enjoy hearing yourself interrupt?" Boom. The studio fell silent. The host blinked. The audience, both in the studio and watching from home, felt the energy shift. It was bold, direct, and completely unexpected. She didn't shout. She didn't shout. She didn't lose control. She simply stood her ground with confidence. This wasn't just a political moment, it was personal. Every young person who's ever been talked over, every woman who's ever been dismissed, every underdog who's ever been underestimated, they saw themselves in her. Karoline Leavitt had just turned a setup into a stand-up, and the internet would make sure the whole world saw it. Karoline was invited under the guise of a youth political roundtable. She was told this was a chance to share her views on young people in politics and civic engagement. But as soon as the cameras started rolling, it was clear this wasn't a conversation. It was a setup. The host, who'd built his career on aggressive debate, wasn't interested in hearing what Karoline had to say. Instead of asking about her platform, experience, or work in the Trump administration, he zeroed in on her age and party affiliation. "Isn't it irresponsible to put someone so young in a position of political influence?" he sneered. Instead of addressing her actual ideas, he questioned her legitimacy. He smirked at her answers, constantly interrupted her, and tried to portray her as naive. It wasn't journalism, it was ambush entertainment. But Karoline came prepared. She didn't just have talking points, she had purpose. With poise and professionalism, she redirected every question back to the issue. When he mocked her generation, she countered with facts about youth voter turnout. When he challenged her qualifications, she cited her record of service and leadership. And every time he interrupted, she patiently waited and then continued, until she delivered the now famous line that turned the interview on its head. That's when viewers realised this wasn't about political sides. It was about how we treat people with different opinions. Karoline wasn't just defending herself, she was defending the right to speak without being shouted down. And the host, who had expected a weak target, was now stuck in a moment he couldn't control. Then came the moment that truly changed everything. Midway through the interview, the host tried to corner Karoline with a loaded question about her support for specific conservative policies. He exaggerated her stance, twisted her words, and tried to force her into a defensive position. But instead of backing down, Karoline leaned forward, looked him straight in the eye and said, "I came here to have a conversation, not to be bullied into silence. If you can't handle a different opinion, maybe you're in the wrong seat." That single sentence sent shockwaves through the room. It wasn't said with anger, it was said with conviction. The host didn't have a comeback. For once, he was speechless. The audience watching from home took to social media instantly. Hashtags like #Karoline Leavitt and #MicDrop started trending within.